Hurry up.
Hello, I am Lucas Paquetá.
Massive!
I'm very happy to be here. Come on, you guys.
Massive! You're massive! You're massive!
Oh, that's
Hello,
a new
everyone.
intro, son.
Do you love that? That's courtesy of Budgie. So
Yeah,
big
love
credit to Budgie. Thanks for that, mate.
That's all right,
Glad you
mate.
enjoyed
It's all
it.
good.
And welcome everyone to another Tuesday Talkshow on the Boleyn Lounge. As you can see, I've got Budgie and Mick in the panel with me, and welcome to all you guys in the chat and anyone watching back. We'll come to the live chat. Please get your comments in there, and anyone watching back, use the comment section, and we'll engage with you through that medium. So, guys, we've been away for a couple of weeks due to a game last week, and quite a lot's happened in the West Ham world. Potter's arrived. We've had 3 games. How's everyone's feeling about life in the West Ham world? Just to stick to the games to start with. Potter comes in on Thursday. Pretty energetic display on Friday against Villa, and probably in the ascendancies. Injuries kind of done for us, I feel, in that game. A few more days with Potter. We move into Tuesday, and I thought we were a bit fortunate on Tuesday, I have to say. But I was entertained and I enjoyed it, and we showed some good patterns of play. And then on Saturday, we sort of reverted back to as drab as I have seen probably all season. I'd probably liken it to our fixture at home to Everton, really. It was really pretty poor, and you have to give Potter a bit of leeway with his very depleted squad and what he had available to him. But they didn't quite show as much enthusiasm on Saturday as they had previously, did they? I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, I thought the whole team just didn't really look like they were interested again. I mean, there was 1 or 2 small passages of play, but I just weren't impressed. I really weren't impressed, you know. But then, you know, like you say, you've got to give Mr. Potter a bit of leeway because although, you know, yes, it is the coach's job to motivate, etc. It's really difficult to motivate a whole bunch of players that are already got their heads down, you know.
I think we must recognise it's the 3rd game in 8 days as well. It's all come round pretty quick.
Yeah.
So perhaps the energy levels for them were waning a bit. And there wasn't an awful lot between the 2 sides, really. It was a pretty drab game overall. Mistake for the goals, really. And we got punished by mistakes, didn't we?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, we've got nothing going for. When you're relying on Paquetá, then he's come into a very difficult situation and getting the injuries on top, and then getting obviously Mavropanos sent off. Another situation. We got. Yeah, look, he's got to be given time. We've got to stop this merry-go-round of I know it's only just this occasion when we got out someone quickly, but, you know, good teams usually have a longevity, decent manager. Yeah, so, and he's a decent manager, and he was mentioned a few times before Loppy came on, and then he was mentioned a couple of times before I've had him. So I think we've got a decent, experienced Premier League manager that, you know, I'm reading so much shite already on social media, this, that, and the other.
It's ridiculous.
A man through the door just stepped through the door. Give him a chance. Yeah. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
He has got his hands full right now.
Yeah.
And as
for
far
sure.
as I'm concerned, as long as we're not in the bottom three at the end of the season, then he's got then time to do his own thing. He's already brought in his own director of football, basically, and he's in terms of transfers.
I'm sure we'll probably talk about that as we go through the show. I'm sure we'll touch on it.
He's,
So
he's already saying, like, fuck Houston, and I'm doing it my way. So, let's see. The Fulham game, people said we were lucky. Maybe we were, maybe we won't, but they played well. Yeah, Aston Villa, I thought, as you said, Somerville went off. We was in charge of that game. And Somerville come off. It just, again, it's that forward-thinking, pacey player. Once we lost him, it was hard for us to turn Villa around. But
it was, but in fairness, I think, although only for 15 minutes, Fulkrug was actually fulfilling his role pretty well in that game as well.
He did do well, I have to say. But I mean, to come on and talk about how Potter was doing and that, it's like, as long as we stay in the league and we show signs of improvement, I think that's all you can ask from him. I don't think you can ask for anything else after the shocking start to the season we've had. The good thing is we're out of the cups. People might say it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing for him because it reduces the amount of games. It gives him time on the training ground. It gives him time to look at the youngsters at the club. He's already brought Ollie Scholes in. He hasn't messed about there. So there's talks about Potts coming back this week, taking him back off the loan. So he just needs that time.
So, Tony, sorry, I don't know how long you were in the green room. I just noticed you were there. Thought I'd bring you in. So, were you there for long? You got the gist of our conversation? You want to put
long, mate. I mean, literally not even 5 minutes. I came in and that just really quickly sort something out. Then I realised, oh shit! I said, look, the time's gone 8 o'clock. Quickly ran back to the computer and got myself all set up. So all sorted.
So, what's your feelings on Potter so far?
Apart from the weird one on the Saturday game, all good so far. I mean, like me and Budgie covered it last week on our show, and we're quite impressed with how this man's come in. He talks well. He's not afraid to get the youth in, which is good to see. There's something that we didn't see from the previous manager and the one before that, funny enough. So it's good that he's integrating in that respect. I mean, as Mick said there, it seems like Stuyden's left leg's out the door at the moment. We've just got to push the rest of it. And then that's another one out of the way with, and hopefully we can start moving on. But unfortunately, the key thing is the window's getting short and it's going to close pretty soon, and we ain't seen nothing coming through the door. Apart from the so-called ludicrous bid for Mr. Duran.
Yeah.
Which,
It's interesting that if you think back a couple of seasons ago when Frank Lampard was at Chelsea and his hands were tied, he wasn't, they had a transfer embargo, didn't they? And he had to use what he had, and he'd done it very, very well. And I think there's a case there that Potter could do the same. So,
No, absolutely. I mean, as you said, Mick, he's only just set his foot for the door. We know how the media works. Once they find an angle, they're just going to gun at you all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Potter's got a broader pair of shoulders than that, and I think he can handle it pretty well, what they throw at him.
And I think what you said first off there, he does. You compare his interviews compared to Loppy, like they're, I don't know if he touched on it before, Jeff, but just going backwards a little bit, to say Loppy was biggest problem is in communicating with anyone. He was using an interpreter to tell them. He wouldn't speak to them. He speak to an interpreter. I mean, it's no wonder, the way things were. But yeah, he talks really well. He's a very he talks very educated and very eloquently, doesn't he? Yeah,
he does.
I find that you're more inclined to believe what he's saying than you have been with any of our previous managers going back, as far as I can bloody remember. You know what I mean? Like, he just seems very sincere and honest,
I think the thing is, I mean, we've been exposed to all this sort of PR stuff when Steidten came in the door. When Lopetegui came in the door, they all put very good presentations, presented themselves very well. My initial reaction to a couple of Potter's press conferences and exposure has been, it's been quite a very good, clever PR exercise. He's come out with quite a lot of sound bites, yeah, that people will like, and he's done it in a, as you say, a very eloquent way. Proof of the pudding is working out what's got the substance and what's just the sound bites. So, you know, I've met all of the board and they were all very professional, etc., etc. Is he just paying lip service, or is that what he really thinks? He mentioned the academy. Was he paying lip service, or is that what he really thinks? Well, on the academy side, looks like he's going to follow through with that. So Ollie Scales was probably not ready before now. And I don't mean not ready before now, i.e. he wasn't ready, but now Potter's in the door, he's ready. I think he was ready this season. But prior to that, he wasn't. He was pretty slight. He had a massive injury setback, quite a serious injury, I think. He had to have surgery and all sorts. He's come back much bigger and stronger, and he's definitely ready and on the edge of first-team football now. And the good thing is that Potter, just in the door, even with selection problems, if you like, is willing to use him and throw him in. And we know historically Potter will develop and use those young players, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is he's following through on that. So I could tick that off of the that's just a soundbite. I mean, in the first two interviews he did, you know, Moyes got absolutely slaughtered for talking about his achievements, but he did mention that he went from the 4th division in Sweden to the quarterfinals of the Champions League or Europa League or whatever it was on the first two minutes. So I thought he's getting that one out there pretty quick, right? I thought that'll wear out pretty soon.
Right? No, you took that out of context. They asked him what made him come back, and he said, "I had 12 hard years. I never stopped in 12 years." He said, I had to achieve what I wanted to achieve. I put 12 hard years in. It took me from the 4th division or whatever through to a championship. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm a great." He just said,
No. I'm not saying that.
And I needed the break.
That twice, right?
Taking that out, for me, you took that out of context.
I'm not taking it out of context. What I'm saying is, let's see if that becomes a soundbite, or if he's just
how is it
setting out.
How is that a soundbite, mate? He's just saying. They asked him, "You haven't been in football for 22 months. Have you had a good break?" He said, "I needed the break. I've had 12 constant years, and in that 12 constant years, I went from there to there, which is a lot to take on board for me, and I needed my break." I don't know where that's a soundbite. He was.
No. That's fine. I'm not talking about him needing a break or what he's done. I'm talking about the 4th division to the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Now it's okay to say that because that's part of his history, and he's setting himself out at a new football. I get that, and it's perfectly fine. If he continues using that, as Moyes used to continually remind us, right? Then I think it becomes a bit of a soundbite. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to crucify the guy for sort of talking about his record. I'm just saying, in a couple of interviews, in my view, there's been quite a lot of media soundbite things that sound good to people will like, and it's fine. You know, I don't expect him to come in and say loads of horrible stuff, right? But as he goes further in, now he'll start delivering on those, or is it just media talk? And let's find out. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I've found myself believing in the appointment a lot more in the last couple of days than I have done over the last week or so since he's been with us. Because originally, you know, we were told Karen Brady brokered the deal. She was the one that spoke to him. Then there was all the story about his wife and her and, you know, about them being friends or whatever the case may be, right? But have you seen the interview that she did recently about the sale of Declan Rice?
No.
I suggest you watch it because she says in it, right? She goes, "Look, I was the person that had to sell Declan Rice," and the interviewer was like surprised by that, and she goes, "Now what I mean is, I had to broker the deal. I was the one assigned with getting the best price possible for him, etc., etc. And the way she spoke actually didn't sound like the Karen Brady we normally hear. It actually made me believe in the story, the way she was speaking. So the fact that she brokered the deal for Potter, knowing that she did the best she could for West Ham United with the Declan Rice deal, I believe that she's done the best job she can getting the best manager available to the club at the time. And so I've got a little bit more confidence in Graham Potter than I had before. And I think that the way he speaks and everything is good, lovely. You know, I love the way he's been chatting. And yes, there are one or two sound bites that you hear. But I think in general, it's a genuine appointment. I think he genuinely wants to do well with this club. I believe that because, you know, I've got this
I don't
habit
think
of
that's in
reading
question,
things.
actually, Budgie. See all the stuff like when he said, "All right, it's I'm proud to be here," and all the rest of it. Actually, all that side of it, I know he's saying the right things, but actually, I tend to believe him that he wants to do well and he wants to bring success, and he's going to do everything he can to do that. And I think, as we'll talk about it, the Macaulay appointment comes in. I think that is like part of the groundwork of actually building to what he wants to do to make the football
It's
club
part of his 12
succeed.
years that you're talking about people that he's met, the way he's climbed the ladder. That's all part of his build-up. That's what I'm saying. It's not, you know, we could go around and round in circles here, but we spoke, obviously I've been away and what have you, yeah, for a month or whatever, but he was a good appointment because he just said he was probably the best manager available to us at the time anyway. And, you know, who is really out there that you go, oh, I must have him, you know, because there aren't. Thomas Franks has mentioned a lot, you know, but they're always mid-table and on a shoestring budget. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they stay in the league, they entertain, they play good football, they score more than their fair share of goals for the squad they've got. But you have to buy him out. So there isn't anyone else out there that you're saying, oh, we missed out there. So
If we put a question, let's as a panel, and if in a chat when I catch up with it,
Yeah.
they could put their answers in there. So let's say the question when we're talking about round the Potter thing, people were getting sort of a little bit panicky and worried because Ruud van Nistelrooy went to Leicester and actually he was in the frame for the West Ham job, and we missed a trick by not appointing him there. Right now,
agree.
would
Dodged
you?
the bullet,
Well,
I'd say there, Jeff.
so my question is, right, when on the subject of Potter, with that in mind, when we're talking about who was available and that, for example, was someone who might have been an alternative, a genuine alternative, would you rather have Ruud van Nistelrooy or Graham Potter? Personally, I would have Potter, right?
I would.
I'd have Potter on the basis he's just far more experienced at the job than Van Nistelrooy, and he's done, and he's done it again. Not being funny with you, but he's done it over a 12-year period, coming up and learning the game. You know, because if you look at Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, all these players, Wayne Rooney, the perfect example of a fellow who just wants to come in and be a manager of a club. All right, last one was Plymouth, fair enough. But what I'm saying is, there's a learning curve to being a manager. Going from a player to a manager is massive.
I agree. And the other thing about Potter, of course, is that he's come into a club where he already partially understood the culture of the club because he's experienced it as an away manager. And then now he's experienced the home and away fan base, like as one of the gang, if you like.
He couldn't have been too impressed with Saturday. Jesus Christ.
Maybe not, but like the fact is that he's experienced a full stadium now. Mainly full stadium. He's experienced a full away contingency. And, you know, like I said, he already had a good understanding of the club anyway. And I think that's going to be paramount in the way he approaches this job, because I think he really will make this job his very own, you know.
He's
This is
got
not going to be a popular phrase, but like David Moyes has done.
he's got a lifeline in the fact that the bottom three, one's already down,
Yeah.
and the other two are looking likely, along with Everton. That Everton's result on Saturday was a freak show for me. Yeah, that's not criticising Moisey. That's just one of them games that, that happens sometimes we're in the bottom. So he's got like a 10-point gap to Ipswich. So the big thing that he's coming in, unlike Moisey's gone under massive pressure into Everton, massive pressure. Yeah, I mean, I think he's crazy of taking the job on, but there you are. But he isn't under that pressure. He only needs to probably pick up another 8-10 points, and West Ham ain't going down anyway.
9 points, I reckon.
But Mick, you've also got to understand that similarly to David Moyes, Potter's come in to a team with a losing mentality.
Yeah.
And that's got to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that
I think the pressure.
Tony, you do coaching. How difficult is it to change the mentality of a whole team?
It's difficult, but what I'm
It is,
saying,
mate. When you're down the end of the I mean, look, we're in a comfortable position, but you're right though, Budgie. If you're down that neck of the woods, it's very hard to get yourself out of it because you're trying to convince the players, and all it takes is one game. The first goal goes in, and straight away, all that hard work and trying to build up the confidence is knocked out of you in one hit. So it's very hard in that respect. So, I mean, the main thing Mick said obviously with Moyes going to Everton. To me, Mick, right choice for Everton. He knows the club. He knows what's going on. And the owners as well. The good thing about the Friedling group, they've done their homework.
Mm-hmm.
They've looked at people who could take the job on, and he's the best one out there for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I don't disagree with that. I'm saying for him though, it's like
it's going to be a hard job. Yeah,
massive. The pressure he'll have felt more. I don't think he'll ever felt more pressure between now and the end of the season in his whole career with the new ground.
Well, I suppose you've got to look at it like this. He's achieved more with that result on Saturday than Sean Dyche has with the last 2 years.
But I think Everton have scored 3 in the last 2 years, have they, in one game?
That's the thing. So when you look at it straight away, and that he can build on from that, that's what Moyes will do with that team. I mean, with Potter, going back to what Jeff started off with, the media is a big influence. Mm. You know, you got to think they know full well they've got a storyline here. Mm. The shit with Every Lopetegui, we bring in a new manager. We can now work on the angle because we know what has happened previously. So they're going to work on that big time. He knows his stuff, you know, as we've all alluded to in that he's done his own work. He's researched what's going on in the club, and yes, definitely, he wants to be there. The fact that he's not afraid to mention the academy, the youth players, he's looking at that setup, and the more importantly, he's under no illusion with the squad. Even though we did well in the transfer business, he knows it's not good enough, and it's. You know, we all thought, first of all, that he was going to come in as an interim thing 6 months down the line, but he managed to get this 2.5-year deal. And I believe it was him that dictated it to Sullivan, and he actually sold it to Sullivan, not the other way around.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was Karen Brady that brokered the deal, and I think Karen Brady probably overrode Sullivan's instructions because, I mean, it's only a sort of, on paper, it's only a slight adjustment. 6 months with 2 years extra, or 2 years with 6 months extra. It's just a stroke of a pen, really, indifference, you know.
Players would have no respect for someone coming in for 6 months.
No, and to be fair, I think that was probably one of the biggest selling points on Potter's behalf.
Yeah.
You know,
how do you
expect me to get a team of, players with a losing mentality on side with them if I'm only here for 6 months?
And the transfer window now, who's going to go to West Ham?
And there are plenty of players out there that would play for Potter.
Yeah, but if he's there, if he's there, well, they know he's going to be gone at the end of the season. There's going to be no interest. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Exactly that.
Try and
So,
catch up with some of these comments.
All right, mate. Yeah, go on.
Just on the subject, because Terence says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Got to admit,
Even in Terence.
quite positive about Potter. We've got a depleted squad due to injuries,
Mhm.
but I still think we're in a better position than we was under Loppy."
I agree
And I
with that.
think we would all agree with that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I mean, there's one thing I said to you
That's him.
on your chat. I think in the week was my one worry about Potter, and has been my reservation about Potter is his teams tend to struggle to score goals. And that was on the back of us scoring 3 goals against Fulham. And I think my response to you was, yeah, but I don't think we're going to get that much help every week. And then we went on to have no shots on goal against Crystal Palace in our next home game. Now,
Look at the
I'm
team.
not going to listen. Yeah, let me just qualify that a little bit. I'm not suggesting now that that's what we're going to get. We're never going to have any shot. You have to take in, and we already said, you have to take into account, right, that he's got a very limited pack to shuffle at the moment. With
And very little
nothing up
time
front.
limit to do it, with 4 days between each game.
The thing is, if we had a Somerville or a Bowen available for that game, I think it possibly could end up very differently, because they can't crowd out Kudus just the way they did. They knew he was the only threat. They just swarm on him. But if we have a Somerville on the other side, or a Bowen that can be released in a similar way, that changes that dynamic. They just knew they had to
Or
smother
if we had a
Kudus.
Pablo Fornell still.
Right, or we had a Fulkrug that I know he's out, but we were so short of options. So I'm not spanking him for the no efforts on goal. I'm just saying it's difficult, and Potter's teams historically might be fairly free flowing, but not free scoring. Let's put it that way.
Who's the most likeliest kid in the youth setup, the under 23s, to come in and play centre forward for a couple of games? Who would that be? Who would that be, Buddy? You more into that than me.
Well,
I don't think there is anyone.
Tony just answered it, didn't you, Tony?
I'm trying to think what I said there myself. So should be going on booing him. I'm just going to quick look.
Sorry.
No worries, mate.
Do you know what? I actually don't know who is ready in the 21s.
I don't think there is at that position.
No. I mean, George
For the Premier League, right?
George Earthy would have been the obvious answer.
And he's on loan, though, is he?
Yeah.
Eh?
He's on loan, is he?
That's right, yeah. And
what we call him?
What's his name? Casey something. He's like an attacking midfielder, but he also plays up front. I've seen him giving him the number 9 shirt. Can't remember his surname now, but even he isn't Premier League quality at the moment. I honestly don't think that we have a striker that would be sufficiently good enough, regularly enough to step into the breach. I really don't. And it might destroy any player you did have.
I didn't think I watched Mbamba playing for Man City there last week, was it? Again, right. I didn't think he was that great. There was a lot of stuff in the media after saying that West Ham, shouldn't let him go.
Now, if we had Lewis Guilherme up front,
I don't think it was outstanding.
That might be a different story.
What's that?
If we put Lewis Guilherme up front, that might be a different story.
He's off to Saudi, and I think I've been reading.
I know, but this would have been the perfect time to give him 2-3 games, like during this period where we're struggling for players.
Oh, that's why he's going. It's got
just to see what he's got.
I agree. I don't want to interrupt you. Sorry, mate. I don't want to,
no,
but
on.
You would think what you just said would be true. This would be the ideal opportunity to say, okay, we're short of options. And then you've got to ask the question, with that short, he's literally in the door in the summer, and we're willing, with the new manager approval, presumably, to move him on in January. And there's some serious questions around that, why that scenario would be, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially after, Tim Stuyton took 3 journeys out to Brazil to broker the deal.
Yeah, but there's got to be a problem within the player. That's not a club thing.
That could be very true. That could be very true. But I think that the most important thing at this moment in time is that we are, as you suggested, Jeff, we are struggling to score goals, and as a result of that, we're getting, when we do get goals, from people that wouldn't normally score.
Well, we're seriously short of striking options now with Antonio, Fulkrug, Bowen, Somerville missing all along that front line. And then, again, the question is, how does Guilherme still not get a chance?
Exactly.
And not under the manager that's so stubborn that won't pay him, but under the new manager that's got a record for developing young talent and using young players. And
but then maybe his hands are tied.
By who?
By
Money.
the board.
It could be money.
Maybe the board are determined to
Is
sell
that
him.
right? Go over 25 million. So, I don't know what we paid for him. I can't remember.
It was
20.
25 million. 25 million, basically.
Oh, was it 25? Was it?
Around about 25 we paid, I think, with add-ons and stuff like that.
Yeah, so,
I don't suppose many of those add-ons would have been paid.
To a more experienced striker, maybe. That's the thing is, when we talk on here, it's all very subjective because we don't know what goes on behind, do we? But there's clearly a problem there with the player. For me, that's only my opinion.
Yeah. Mate, you're right, mate.
I suppose the thing you've got to look at it like that, though, Mick, he's a youngster. What's he, 18, 19 now? He's come over from Brazil to the UK.
Yeah.
He may have a big problem settling in. And you've got to think, at the end of the day, how was he handled in the first place by Steiner and by Lopetegui, by the club itself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you never know. Potter's got to sit down with the kid and go through, if there is a problem. Yes, there is a rumour he could be going to Saudi, but then on the other hand, you hear that they don't want to sell him. Mm-hmm. So make up your mind. I mean, the thing is, he didn't actually feature for the under-21s. He wasn't in the reserves. He literally sat on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So that itself makes you wonder, why is this kid that's supposed to be so brilliant, and that's why we touted him in the first place.
Maybe, just maybe, and I'm speculating here completely, but maybe terms of his agreement were that he would only play Premier League football.
I don't know about that, but there were reports that the club weren't happy that he didn't train well, and one thing or another. You can't brush all them stories aside. You have to bring it all into the picture, and then the missing pieces start falling in. Do you know what? We're still speculating because the bottom line is they could literally be selling him for 25 million to put 25 million on the books so that they can then invest it elsewhere in what they might feel is a better way, right? It just might be a money juggling thing that's necessary, right? So, like you say, we're all speculating.
I mean, even the so-called ITKs don't know what's going on with him.
It just seems a very odd scenario, right? To bring in, a youngster that we're hoping is going to be the next wonder kid to develop him, bring him through, and sort of within a transfer window, we're ready to move him on. It's alarmingly bad.
If you remember, Jeff, and this has kind of got the likelihood of Danny 2.0 in it, really. Do you remember when we got him kind of thing? It's in that similar mould when you think about it.
Do you know what? For that young lad, though, it must be soul destroying. I mean, imagine what, I can't remember the player's name now, but we had a young midfielder and he was brought on, and then within about 3 minutes he was subbed off again by Moyes, I believe it was. Can you remember? It was
Well,
about 3 years ago. He was only brought on for about 3 minutes and then subbed off.
there's a Danny Ings situation in there and all that. You have an experienced striker.
Mhm.
His goal scoring record at West Ham's abysmal.
Yeah, but he'd admit himself he couldn't do 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Mhm. I don't know.
And if you were going to use him for just 30 to 40,
Mm.
which 30 to 40 minutes would you use him in?
I tend to agree with that. I know people say he's the only striker we got at the club, so we have to start him. But I'm kind of in your camp. I don't think the idea for Danny Ings for 70 minutes is like. I think the idea of Danny Ings for 20 to 30 minutes coming on, giving whatever impact he can to the game, is a better option, in my opinion.
If it was me, and it's not me, Kudos would be our centre forward right now, and I put because he does all the
I
things that
think
Mickey
many of
does.
us believe that as well, Mick.
Pardon?
Many
that?
of us think the same thing, mate.
Yeah, because he does everything that Mickey does. He'll run all day. He's as strong as an ox. He's got better control than Mickey. He's a better finisher than Mickey. And if you bring Scholes in at left back, it means you can push Emerson out to the left.
Yeah.
You know, he still has options. Yeah.
And we're at risk of losing him.
Huh?
And we are at risk of losing him. So if you made him one of the most important players on the pitch.
Right now he is. Right now he is.
Yeah, but if you made that the highlight of the game for him, instead of us fans knowing it, make him know it as well. You're the most important player we got. We need you up front. We need you scoring goals, mate. Then who knows where his head would be turned? Would it be turned back in towards the club? You know, because at the moment, you know, what's to stop him from wanting to leave?
Well, you've got a good point there, Budge, because you've got to think at the end of the day, we are, you know, for me personally, it was from the Spurs game, you could see that Kudos didn't want to play under this manager. He purposely got himself sent off with what he did. And the first thing that Potter's got to do is re-engage these players. And as Mixon said, any team manager comes in, and that's a bloody hard thing to do. But we saw straight away in that small period of time that he had there, we saw a difference in the first half against Villa in the cup game, and obviously it whetted the appetite. So let's see where he can do with a couple of more training sessions under his belt. But let's get these players under the wings. Kudos, yeah, definitely. Somerville, let's hope we see him back soon, because obviously
he's available the weekend. I've been reading.
Well, that's great. That's I think you know that's what we've got to look at, and then. Apparently, Bowen is recovering pretty well as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried about that. About them rushing. They rush Bowen back.
3rd of February.
Well, I think Potter won't do it though, Jeff.
If he's fit, good on him. Well done, Jared, because we need you back, mate. That's for sure.
The thing is, with a broken foot, now there's all sorts of technology that can help with that. You know,
sports science is a lot different.
I'm just suggesting that maybe a carbon fibre sock or something. Do you know what I mean? As long as it's within the rules of the game and it's protective for a broken foot, then there isn't much reason why he couldn't.
If he's fit to come back, great. At that date, great. If they're pushing him back and then he breaks down for another few weeks, I'd rather they wait.
Yeah, like yourself though, I wouldn't want them rushing him back and then having him out for the rest of the year.
If he's fit, great.
Who replaces Mav now on Saturday as well?
Who replaces Mavropanos?
Well,
that is somewhere where we have got under 21s that could step in and help the fault out. So, for example, you could make Aaron Wan-Bissaka one of the back three with Tadibo and...
Tadibo's injured.
Tadibo's not available.
Oh, he's not available.
He's out for 2 months.
Well, the easy one for me then, it's easy. You move Kilman over to the right-hand side, and then you still have your right back sort of Wan-Bissaka. You put Emerson on the left and that, and you put Scholes in with Kilman.
So you play Emerson at a left centre-back?
Yeah. Or you basically you have Scholes as a left centre-back and Emerson on the left. It's an easy one.
I don't like either of that.
I mean, if you look at it, it's the only choice we've got, though, Jeff. But Scholes will give you something because
Why
not
is it
being
the
funny
only choice? We've got Casey that sits on the bench every week, part of the first team squad. Who's a
again, though.
centre
But we
back.
haven't seen him. We haven't seen anything of him, though.
Listen,
That's the
I'm
problem.
not saying he should play. I'm making a case for not playing Emerson and Scholes in that position, right? So you've got Casey. You could squeeze Wan-Bissaka a push in there to play. I don't like it, but you could do that if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
there's that option.
Creswell's
And
quite good in the back three.
Are we forgetting
And
we've got
you
Creswell?
you could play Kufel as a centre back, a push, right? I'm not sure I like the idea of like a Kilman, Cresswell, Kufel back three.
No,
or something
but
Yeah,
like
that scares a bejesus out of you,
Kilman,
Jeff. That does.
Creswell,
So,
or a
but-
Kilman Tufel back two,
Well,
centre
I'm just
two.
saying we don't have to play with 3 or 5 at the back. We could just
No,
try and get a
no.
flat back 4 out of it.
Yeah,
We could
exactly.
probably
that.
put one together, right?
Yeah, with
Not one that would be
Wan-Bissaka on the
ideal,
right.
but we could do it, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if only bringing in one, you have to bring in Cresswell because that's
Well, look,
done it before.
if he doesn't want to go down the youth route, there's another obvious choice you can go in there. You stick Souček in with Kilman.
Yeah, I'd
Well,
rather put Alvarez at centre half.
No,
than
say I'd
Souček,
rather put
personally.
Alvarez at centre half. That was
Yeah.
that's where he
But
plays.
then see what
That is another
we're
option, by the way.
what we are
Alvarez.
suggesting is various options instead of just one or two. You know what I mean? There are options out there that I'm sure that Graham Potter is aware of.
There's lots of
The
ways you can
fact
juggle the
is-
pack. Just not
The
keen on
fact
any of
is,
them,
if
if I'm
you
honest.
did put, say, for example, Alvarez in the back four, who would you have in midfield?
Well, probably
Yes.
Rodriguez and Souček.
Well, yeah.
Rodriguez,
Or
Soler and
unreliable.
Souček.
I'd bring Irving in. It's time for Irving to come in, put some legs in there.
Yeah, he was all right when he came on in the cup game.
He's done
wasn't he?
all
He was
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Jeff
choice
don't
as well.
like him.
I mean, Jeff, I understand
Again,
your
there's options,
reservations. Yeah, I understand your reservations, but at least if you look at it, what you're hoping for, that any player that comes on there is going to put their, if they're out on their sleeve and put a performance in, and that's all we can ask for.
Well, he's got energy, he's aggressive, and he passes the ball well. What more do you want to do in midfield? He hasn't been given another one that hasn't been given a chance.
Yeah, you're talking about Irving, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you weren't talking about Irving, were you, Tony? You were talking about your Emerson thing, weren't you?
Well, I was
sorry.
talking about, I mean, and if you look at it, I'm talking about anyone that's going to be picked in that
Yeah.
team to kind of do the job. I mean, what you're hoping for, that they will literally put a performance in, because that's all we can ask for. Potter's got to get the best out of a shoestring, and hopefully it's going to work. I mean, yes, there is some scary options out there, Jeff, and I see that white streak go in your hair when I mentioned that certain player there. But don't worry, mate. It should be. He'll sort it out, old Potter. In Potter we trust, they say.
I don't think Wolford plays to win.
I'll tell you who else I think has done well in recent weeks, and I said on the show before Christmas, I just couldn't see him stepping up to the Premier League. Is Soler. I think when he's in the team, there's a certain control that we have with the ball, and each time he plays, I just think he's that give the ball to person, that Pat Paqueta was 18 months ago. Soler just picks the ball up, makes clever passes. Yeah, I'm starting to get to be a bit fond of him, to be fair.
He's settling
Yeah.
in, Mick, isn't he? That's the thing,
Yeah.
and that's what you want. I mean, because obviously, by all accounts, PSG thought that we'd already stepping up by this stage, but he's still on loan. But all he can do is sell himself when he comes on the pitch.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying. He has kind of grown into the position,
Yeah.
and it's good to see it. That's what you want out of a player.
Yeah, I remember when you said that, Mick, and I said, yeah, I don't think we've seen enough of him yet. And I don't think he's had. And when he has
That's because
played,
you're a fucking know-all, Jeff.
yeah, when he has played, at that time when he had played, he'd often been played on the left-hand side, right? And I
You
said,
know, he keeps little notes, that he can aggravate with me in the future. We've been mates for over 30 odd years. He's got this little book I can aggravate Nick with,
Because do you notice, Mick, that we don't see that part of his desk that he's sitting on there? He's got a load of half a ton of post-it notes, all split out there on that. Where is he? Oh, there he is. There's mixed comments. There's budgies. He's ready to go, mate. He's got
well,
you.
I have neglected the comments, and So I better get through some of them. And Colin says, gentlemen, Sullivan is playing his silly mind games with us fans again. First year we have no money and so-called bid for Duran. I would not even bother with Duran. I feel he has attitude problem. So talking about that, moving on to transfers, I suppose, in a way, what's your views on what Colin says there?
I'm kind of inclined to agree a little bit, with the pursuit of Duran. I think that was done last year. We should have left it behind. I think there are other players out there within 40 to 45 million price range that we could have quite easily have got that would fit our style of play very well. And I really do think that we were mad letting Naya Fagerd go right now.
Agard.
No, I think I said Naya Fagerd. Letting him go was a mistake.
The centre half.
Yeah.
I said that all
A
along.
massive mistake.
I've always said that, and he'd have made, to me, he'd have made a perfect left back. Get up, his passing was brilliant. Yeah. The only thing he struggled with was in the box in the air. Yeah. Everything that was on the ground, he was good with. Yeah. I've said here many a time.
Him and Alvarez were very similar, but Alvarez is better in the air.
Yeah. He's not quite aggressive enough in the air, but his ball, the ball on the ground, he's majestic with it. I was a big fan of his.
Yeah. I feel that we've got some work to do, and we really do need to invest. But the fact that we're pursuing Duran is ridiculous. I think we need to set our sights on somebody that's more achievable. Because Villa are just going, every time we put a bid in, they're going to just keep up on it until they get the 70 million they've quoted they want.
Yeah, I'm not even, again, who was the lad that was, they called him the Winker after the semi-final? What was his name? And Dembele. I read about that. And then the other ridiculous one I read this morning was Neymar.
Yeah, I've just seen that one as well, Mick. That's kind of subject.
32-year-old and pay 25 million for him. Of course we can.
Yeah.
And we'll give you 200 grand a week as well, just to make it happen. Yeah. The problem is finding the players. We all know. Listen, we chat on here, but the realism is it's January, and you'll pay through the nose, and who is there anyway? In all honesty, who is
Colton Cole probably.
I mean, Chris Woods is having the time of his life right now at Forest, but this is his swan song. Yeah. He's having a hell of a season. He's having the best season of his life. Yeah. And people will rate him at 30 or 40 million, but he's done. This is Chris Woods' last season. He ain't never going to score the amount of goals he's going to score this year.
I mean, listen, if you were talking about the perfect target, it's got to be Alexander Isak, but he's unreached. We ain't going to be able to pay the money they want for him.
To be fair,
it's all pie in the sky, like you say.
Yeah,
say any name you like. We're not getting them, right?
We've got to be realistic, Somebody like the young lad at Ipswich, what's his name? If they
you got Delap. I mean,
but you're not going to get him.
If they are going to stay down in that
they'll
bottom
go for top money for him.
A little cheeky bid for him in the summer would be perfect. But
if
right now, they're not going to want to lose him.
If you want a target man, he's not the best finisher from what I've seen. But you want someone to lead the line the way that Mickey did and chip in with a few goals. And
here's the thing.
You could get him for, hang on, Jeff. You get him for a few quid. Is it Osana at Southampton? We've seen him, the big lad.
Big lad. Big lad.
I mean, he's ball control for a big lad. He leads the line well.
Right. Anyway, getting to Delap. The thing is, we need to identify the next Delap. Not wait for Delap to be identified and then go, oh, he's good, isn't he? let's try and get him ahead of Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, and any other list of fucking clubs that'll be wanting to buy him next summer, right? If he becomes available. So for me, yeah. Would we like Delap? Yeah. Are we going to get him? No, he's not a realistic target, I don't think, for West Ham. I think he's going somewhere else. If he's leaving Ipswich, he's going somewhere else.
If Ipswich go down, they're going to lose him straight away, aren't they, Jeff? And it's going to be top dollar.
Yeah.
No, what about Man City again?
Yeah. I mean, look, the two targets that gets banded around many times on the old rumour mill is obviously Evan Ferguson and Latte Left. I mean, if you look at it, Atlanta's going 80 million for this Latte Left and that. Why don't we just jump in and nick that? 20 million, done. You know, he's scoring goals. He's scoring goals for Middlesbrough, Mick. He doesn't seem to be a young. He's a young lad, and maybe we can do something with that. Or Potter can do something with that. I mean, obviously we can't, but for £18 million, if he's banging in the goals for him, then there's a target man at least. We've got something to aim for. I mean, Collins asked the question, who would you get? Not being funny, if we had the option back in the day, and it's too late now, really, but Haller and Baker Schumacher, bring them back and that they'll score goals under Potter all day long. But we know they're unrealistic targets because now they've moved on. They've got older. We need some young players.
Arnautovic would score a bundle too.
Cool, mate. You know what I mean, Budgie? It's one of those, isn't it? We need to sort this striker business out because as much as we can put Kudos in or out, even Gilherme and that, we need an out-and-out striker. We're missing that side of things. We know we can create the balls through into the box. We need someone who's going to be a poacher, a fox in the box and put it in. Simple.
Is that full after injury? I don't know.
Colin's asking here. He says, "Gents, if you had a choice of striker, who would you bring in January?" We have to remind ourselves we're in the January window now, so like I say, you can name anyone you like. But if he's saying
realistic targets,
a realistic target, what would your policy be on bringing in a striker? Who wants to take that first?
I mean, I'll just mention it. I just said Latte Left. It's one that's out there. It's something we can do with. I mean, the other one you could possibly say that might be a realistic target is the big man for Forest, Iwanyi. That's about it.
That's exactly who I'd go and get. Iwanyi.
That's about it. I'd say. I don't think there's anything else we can really afford to go.
Would you buy Iwanyi?
How old is he?
I wouldn't go over 26 million for him.
Let's have a look. I mean, they want 20 million apparently for him.
Well,
okay, so what would you say, Mick?
What would I say about him?
No, well, yeah, if you want to. I'm just saying your target.
He is a hard-working, which is the first and foremost thing you have to be now as centre forward. It's not like the old days. Yeah, he does get around the pitch. He gets back, he gets front. And I have seen him score like numerous goals only on the telly, obviously. So there is a striker in there. I don't know if he'd be prolific, but he would certainly lead the line and add goals to that. That's for sure. The other
one you're talking about, are you?
I've just looked it up, Mick. He's 27.
27.
So this would be my kind of view on it. I'll keep in mind the other stuff. We've got to buy Todibo. That's 35 million. And let's say on the conversation that we had earlier, everyone's suitably impressed with Soler come the end of the season. We're going to buy him, right? That's 20 million. So we spent 55 million of next year's transfer budget already, right? This is part of the reason I don't believe in all this 57 million bollocks, right? Or not that we actually really want to buy the player because I just.
Are we buying Todibo? Are we actually going to buy it?
I think we're obligated. So unless there's a way to wriggle out of it, yeah. We are. So my view on January would be, I think I've been pretty unimpressed with most of the targets that we've been linked with. But if I could sign that Iwanyi on a loan for the end of the season, I'd just be looking to do that. I don't think I'd want to sign him on a permanent. I just want to sign him till the end of the season. Do you know what? If he does well to us end of the season, stays fit, don't break down with this, that, or the other injury, maybe I'd think about, hey, maybe this is the guy that fits for us. But I'd just use him as a get-out-of-free jail card. I don't know if Forest would want to agree to that, but if I had a choice, that's what I'd do. I'd just sign Iwanyi on a loan till the end of the season.
Here's
So I
another
hope that answers Colin's question. I don't know what everyone in the chat feels
Here's
about
another
that.
suggestion, though. Tammy Abraham.
Loan or permanent?
Well,
But
either.
is he playing again? Because every time I ever read about him, he's injured.
I have no idea at this moment in
Yeah,
time.
I think he's just gone to one of them injury prone players.
Yeah.
I've just got breaking news come through. We've finally got the man. We've signed Carlos Bacca on a short-term deal. Not bad for us. I don't know if you can see him. 62 he is, and he'll do the job for us. There he is. Look at that. He'll do the job for us. Yeah, not bad at all, is it, really?
Trust of the youth.
Carlos Bacca.
I'll tell you what I
Alright.
would do, though. I read somewhere the other day that Ollie Watkins might be available for around £25 million, right?
Snatch him.
I'd
Yeah.
I'd sign him. He's 29, but
I'll
do
chop
you know
your hands
what?
off for him, mate.
He
Definitely.
scores goals. He runs the channels. He does the lone striker thing.
If he's 25 million, go out up tomorrow, Jeff, and get him to write the check out.
Yeah, I drive
Jump in
up
the
there
car
if
and
I can get him.
Keep going,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, yeah.
Go and get him. Bring him back.
But
I'd
that
give
might
him
be
a
a load of old
piggyback
bollocks.
to
But
London,
25
mate,
million,
if I had
I'd
to.
sign him on a permanent. That's for
They've
sure.
just signed.
Yes,
There could be some truth in that because they're not letting Duran go. And
No.
they've just bought another striker, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we've got about 25 million, 30 million in the window to spend.
Pay 35 million for Ollie Watkins.
The good thing about if we did sign Ollie Watkins, yeah, he might be 29, so that gives us 3 or 4 good years with him, hopefully. But also, he's been on the verges of breaking into the England squad a lot lately, and like there's quite a lot of attention on him. And if we were to sign a player with a lot of attention on him, good publicity for the club again. Just another positive thing.
Well, if that is true, what Jeff has said, then it's a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's a no-brainer. And
Yeah.
the thing is, if Ollie Watkins available, he's going to end up in one place and one place only, and that's at the Emirates. If he's going for that kind of money, yeah.
No, you're right there.
Who would you go to? Would you go to West Ham or Arsenal right now? You're going to go to Arsenal.
Yeah.
25 million, yeah. That as he said, Arteta will put him on his back and carry him down for that.
Yeah,
but remember, he wants to win things, Mick, so he ain't going to do it at Arsenal, is he? That's for sure.
That's a good comment there from Make West Ham Great Again. That is also very true.
Yeah.
So fragile at the back.
Well, think about that. We're talking about outfield players. We haven't mentioned anything about goalkeepers.
Yeah, that's a summer project, though.
Possibly.
We need a goalkeeper, but not in January.
Mm.
We've got more pressing matters in January.
We've got a
I'd agree.
perfectly good goalkeeper ready to go. He's actually not in the academy right now. He's actually out on loan. Christian Hagee.
Yeah.
Can't get a game at Motherwell, can he?
And we've got Fotherington. Where's Fotherington?
I like Wes Fotherington. I said this before Christmas. I just like him. He's
But
more
if we had, I know that Areola's game isn't as good as it has been, but we've got, Fabianski getting ready to hang up his gloves. I think we should keep Areola for another year as our number one goalkeeper with Fotherington backing him up and get Hagee in as the number 3.
I would go the other way with that because you've said it before on the show several times that Areola is one of the finest shot stoppers in the league. Yeah, but he doesn't dominate crosses. He's very, very shaky when it comes to corners and stuff. Fotherington's much more. He's just a bigger presence. I like to sign him and not use him when we are I feel, still struggling in that position. Now, Fab's done well. I would never, ever knock Fabianski, nor would I really knock Areola. But they're not quite... They're just not dominant enough as goalkeepers for me.
Well, interesting you say that, Mick, because obviously, stand me correct if I'm wrong, but wasn't Guilherme and Fodram the first two signings under the new regime?
They were.
They were, I think they were, yeah.
So that kind of says something in itself, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
In what way? What do you mean?
I mean, it just seems strange that we've got a kid that's not featuring at all, and Fodram is doing the same. He gets mentioned on the bench, and that's all he does.
Yeah.
But that's all he was ever signed for, isn't it?
Well,
he makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, like as Budgie said there, I mean, like, you know, Fabianski, he is no doubt. You might see him retire this year because we give him the 1 year extension. For me, I mean, we kept on, by all accounts, Lopetegui's goalkeeping coach. Get shot of him and make Fabianski.
Well, it's not the Lopetegui's goalkeeping coach.
Yeah, no, actually, that's West Ham's goalkeeping.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. So if you look, get shot of him.
Fixture.
And make Fabianski the goalkeeping coach.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Fab's been brilliant. Look, for all the years, he's been brilliant. And Areola has never really let us down. But I never feel Fab's getting the wrong side of 40 now. I just don't feel Areola. I think he's a great shot stopper. But some of the saves he's made is amazing. But then you need goalkeepers who dominate boxes when things are happening. You know. There was a terrible punch from Fab the other day. All he do is catch it, and he punches it out, and the ball comes straight back in again. And you think they're the moments. They're the moments when you're under pressure. When the keeper come out, bang, I've got it. Settle everyone down. Go. He come out. He could have caught it. He decided to punch it, and then we were straight back under pressure. That's the difference.
That's a Fabianski trademark, unfortunately, though, Mick. That's the problem. He does it. He's done it so often.
I watched the back end of the Villa game this evening, and Villa had a late corner in the game. Wasn't the greatest corner, but they knocked it into the box, and the goalkeeper came out absolutely towering, right? Collected the ball, and the commentator said, "Oh, that's what you want when the pressure's on to relieve it." And I watched him and I thought, fucking neither. I don't know if he's any good, this guy, but I just, in that one moment, I thought neither one of our goalkeepers were capable of coming and collecting that ball and doing something like that in that moment. They'd have both fucking flapped away at it, right?
Well, that Martinez,
that's a word. That's a problem, right?
When Martinez is sorting out a corner, he's telling everyone, "That's what I want you." Boom. You don't see our keepers doing that. And then he makes his mind up. When that ball's kicked, whether he's coming out for it, he's going to punch it, whatever he's going to do. But he has made his mind up before that ball is kicked. I'm going to win that. And then when it's coming in, you'll see him change his feet. I can't win that. But then he gets himself in another position, get the second ball. Our keepers just don't do that.
No,
that's true.
Here's the scenario for all you.
Go on.
Everton get relegated. Jordan Henderson wants to leave. Jordan Pickford.
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 Yeah, well, England's number one. So, and again,
I know, but at the moment he's currently playing for one of the worst teams in the league. So, and he's still England's number one. So he could go down to the Championship and still hold the gloves effectively. Yeah. It's been done before.
What I'm saying is,
so if he wants to leave Everton, do we go in for him? Regardless regardless of him being England's number one.
He's a lunatic, but I love him.
He's a lunatic.
But there's also the other side of the coin of that budget, isn't it? Is obviously Ramsdale at Southampton.
Yeah, that's been
muted. I wouldn't be as confident with Ramsdale, though. I'm sorry. I don't. That's why Arsenal replaced him.
I'd happily take Ramsdale, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't.
Arsenal were doing great with him in goal.
Yeah, they were. I don't think he'd.
I'll tell you what, I'd rather have the other one that they got rid of, that Chelsea picked up, David Raya. Now, that is a good goalkeeper.
Raya's at Arsenal, isn't he?
Raya's at Arsenal.
Sorry, at Arsenal. Yeah.
I mean, the difference being, I mean, look, with Ramsdale, what you need in front of him in that is a good back four.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're suspect on that. So
He's
that's
letting
Yeah.
goals galore at
Yeah.
Southampton. That's not his fault.
no, not at all. I mean,
Cheeky
leading up
big
onto the
Craig
question.
Dawson.
Who?
Cheeky Bigfoot. Craig Dawson.
Yeah, that's
Who's
the way
this-
forward.
Who's Collins come up with? Is it Sawyer? Is that how you
Sawyer,
say it?
yeah.
Yeah, I
under
just,
21s.
just
Swire.
yeah, wanted to
Swire.
read that.
Who knows? I don't know
Squire,
nothing
yeah.
about him, lad, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment. But who
He's
knows
a
about him?
decent player. I don't know if he's Premier
I think
League
he's been
quality.
doing
I
well.
haven't
Whether
seen him.
he's ready for step up,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But
I mean, I haven't seen enough of him to know whether I would put him into a first team.
Well, look, at the end of the day,
scenario,
why not
but-
gamble? We haven't got much, half the season's gone. Give the kid a chance. There's no harm in doing that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I mentioned it earlier on when talking about Graham Potter and young kids. Well, no, they're not kids. These boys, they're men. They're 21, 22.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah,
Of course they are.
put them in the team.
Question I want to put to you guys and obviously people in the chat. I mean, I've raised it a couple of times now. But the one thing that's kind of concerning me is Max Kilman,
Yeah.
because all I'm seeing recently is a downhill spike in his performances. I mean, looking at that goal they scored against us, that was a feeble, he turned his back on it for one, and it was half-hearted to put his stick in his leg out. He's been doing this now in the last 4 games.
Probably been doing it for the last 2 months, to be fair.
yeah,
No, but you're seeing more of a visible thing now,
Yeah.
Mick. That's the problem. It's more visible. That's for me. The last 4 games, you can clearly see that there's something not right with that player.
So basically, then he's been brought in the summer. He's played a blinder for a few weeks, and then he ain't played as well and struggled a bit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but there's something more underlying to it, Budge. I don't know if
No,
it's a
I'm
case of...
not criticising that summary. I'm
No. It
literally just
basically, it does sum it up. I think if you look at it, it seems, I don't know, maybe he's kind of pining because Lopetegui's gone. It could be that.
well,
You never know.
or maybe Lopetegui weren't the manager he thought he was, and therefore started to decline. And then with all this going on, and the publicity and everything that went on with the changeover, listen, you can't devalue the effect that media and all that sort of stuff has on these players.
Mhm.
It has a massive influence on them.
Oh, of course
And
it does.
To be
just
fair to
maybe
him,
because he thought that maybe Lopetegui was like the next Mourinho, and found out he's not.
But he hasn't had a partner next to him,
And the only partner that has really shown anything next to him was Todibo, in my opinion.
it's such a hard league that when you're not confident of the fella beside you.
Look, we've always got Kurt Zuma we could recall.
and I do think he's been playing with an injury over the last few weeks. Although I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's
All
got
things
shoulder
aside,
injury.
Look, I think maybe he's playing with a bit of an injury, so he's not at 100%. Perhaps he's got an unsettled partnership and perhaps not much confidence in Mavropanos alongside him. That's part of a factor, I think, as well. But some of the stuff is just down to his own poor defending and poor performance, right? And I think we have to acknowledge that, along with putting some factors alongside that might, affect his performance as well. But some of it is all down to him, right?
Jeff, you've played centre half, right? And before, and you know that when you go in and you're playing alongside someone who you're not comfortable with, yeah, it's very, very difficult. Yeah, and when you're talking about the level these players are at, yeah, and the other thing as well, I agree with what you're saying. Don't get me wrong, that he's not being at his best. But one of the other things that I notice with West Ham defending is we're quite happy to let crosses keep coming in the box. We do not. We seem to be playing the right back. Sorry, Wan-Bissaka right? So along the 18-yard line, that's his line. He's not playing right back. He's playing like an inside right back as a full back. Yeah, and Emerson's doing the other thing, and we are just letting crosses after crosses coming in as well. You know, there's all sides to, like, he knows that cross is coming in, trying to get. He's looking around who's coming in.
He also knows he's got a goalkeeper that's not going to come for it, right?
Yeah, but we are. I'd love to see the stat who's had the most crosses against them this season, and I'll tell you, West Ham would be in the top 1 or 2 of them.
No, and all these things do. You know, it's all relevant, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All of these things add on to another. Doesn't excuse it. Like the backing off on Saturday, I just think's poor from him, right?
Cross after cross.
But I do think that Fabianski was a bit flat-footed as well. You know, I was a bit worried about that. Wasn't right in the corner, and he got nowhere. He didn't even just like, oh, he nearly got. He was nowhere near that.
I think it could just be a confidence thing because, like, you could see how he played at the start of the season. He was playing well, and he was coming. He was bringing the ball out from the back, and he was making good passes. I think he set up a really good goal. He put a ball out to Bowen, and Bowen got Wan-Bissaka in, but it come from his run and his pass. Yeah. I don't know. I agree. He's not playing well. Don't get me wrong, Tom. I think there's big factors to that. Yeah,
probably is. I mean, I agree with what you said, Mick. At the beginning, for me, when we named Bowen as captain, I said it should have been Kilman. But the way the form has been recently, it seems to kind of is swayed my opinion on it now.
Yeah, we'll see how it is.
Now you think it should be Souček?
Well, if you look at it, he is wearing his heart on his sleeve, Budge, and you can see that. I mean, like, you know,
he his performances every time he steps out.
He's a better player this season than he's ever been, Souček. I have to say that, and I was running to get rid of him. Yeah, no, I did say it was time for him to go. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't say these things. I did, but he's having his best season for us in terms of performance.
No, I agree.
Well, it's good he stepped up to the mantle, isn't it? That's what you want, really.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, we've always believed that he plays for that badge. And now we are actually seeing that we are actually right. He's always played for that badge. You know?
Shame his fellow countryman's not doing the same, you know, because he looks bloody atrocious when he comes on there.
Who's that?
Tufel.
Oh.
Just want to put this comment up that obviously all of the panel, excluding myself, of course, associate with, whereas a picture says that I'd like to be the wrong side of 40 again, like Fabianski. He did, Luke. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And he says on the goalkeeper front, Luke says, get the Irish lad from Liverpool. It is a good shout. It is a good shout. Yeah.
Keller is a great keeper.
Again, I think he does want to go at the end of the season if he's not first teamer. He's out of contract, isn't he?
I don't know, is he?
I think he's coming up to that, yeah. I mean, it'll be a great shout because when you look at it, I mean, like, you know, when Alisson was injured and that, he was immense.
Yeah, I mean, there's your answer then, isn't it? But you'd have, you know, again, there'd be keepers like that. There'd be a queue for him.
The good thing is, you know, we're talking about.
Let's not get above our station here. Alisson is the first choice goalkeeper at Liverpool, and when he ain't in, that young lad gets a shout, gets the nod. Is he going to walk away from that to come to West Ham?
Well, he wants to play every week.
It all depends what Slot's got in mind, though, Budgie. That's the thing. If he's looking for,
that's what I'm saying.
Alisson's in on as well.
Be number one at the moment, but who knows what he's going to be in?
Exactly, because that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we had the same situation when you think Fabianski, we signed Areola on a permanent, and we know how that situation went.
He was a cup keeper, basically, tournament keeper.
So
and he was happy to play that role, knowing that the following year, the number one shirt, although only metaphorically speaking, was going to be his. And Fabianski took on the role that he had the season before, which worked really well at that time. Now we're struggling to get a decent 90 minutes out of either keeper. And Fotherington at the moment could be the option.
What we say on a perspective, if we're looking for a goalkeeper in the summer basis, right? Just in this conversation here, we've identified 3 goalkeepers that we think that would be good first-team goalkeepers at West Ham that we might realistically have a chance to sign. Not one that, if someone picks him up, we're scrapping it. There's potentially 3 decent goalkeepers that we might be able to go and get one of them. So
there's another keeper in the Championship, and not because like I've got a soft heart for Luton, but that Kaminsky at Luton.
No.
I take. What do you mean? No, he had the most saves in the Premier League last year.
I know. I saw the goal he let in against Bowen as well. So
the thing is, though, Mick, if you look at Luton's season so far on that, I think that
but that's not down the goalie, is it?
No, of course, but you know full well, mate. Where's the buck stop? It's going to be the goalkeeper, regardless of what they're in there. And unfortunately, when you think Luton looks like they're going to be going down yet again, the way their season's going. So you're going to bring it, we're going to be in the same situation. We're going to bring a player in, if we went for him, for instance, who's down on his confidence and positivity, and that we're going to try and achieve the best out of him. And that it's a bit of a hard one to take on in that respect, because obviously what's going on with the club currently at Luton, you're going to bring in a player in that's not full of beans.
All jokes aside from Luton, I tell you what, we could do worse as a squad player, right? You could get you out a bit of trouble. And I think he's all right. You probably get him for 4 or 5 million quid. I'd go and nick that little Tahith Chong off of him.
Yeah, that's not a bad shot. Yeah.
You'd pick him up for not a lot of money, I'm not saying he's top class, but for the money you pay for him, right, I think he could do a job for West Ham. I just want to put James's comment up here because it did make me smile. He says, Fab is far better up to the penalty spot, in his opinion. Hang a garland of garlic over the crossbar and Ariel Olia is gone before the crosses have arrived. And Colin's just confirming that Kilman does have his shoulder strapped up.
Yeah, somebody mentioned it on in the chat on Cell Show last night that they'd seen him stripping off his shirt after the game, and it was strapped up.
Well, I'm still very much in the Kilman camp. I think he's a good centre half.
I still think he's a good player, and I think he will be better as time goes on.
But yeah, we're in a mess at the back, aren't we?
Yeah.
All right, gents, I've got a 5:30 start in the morning, so I'm going to...
I'm not far behind you because I'm going to be doing the same, Mick, because I've got to go and because I've got an early start. We go barrier-less as tomorrow at Stansted Airport. So, woohoo, that's going to be fun.
What there tomorrow, sorry?
We're going barrierless. So our express set down where we pick up and drop off, we are taking all the barriers off and we're going to become a barrierless payment system, just like
ANPR.
Can I just answer James's question there?
I wanted to grab you before you went,
Yeah, I was never a hater. I just thought his time was up. He's always done well for us, but I thought last year he looked a dumb thing. Yeah, I was never a hater. Just I thought his time had come, but he's proved me completely wrong.
Jeff, have you seen Words and Pictures last comment?
Yeah.
Do you remember the adverts? Oh, wow.
Well, for my sins, I'm going to the game Saturday, Millwall.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, enjoy.
Yeah.
Turn them over.
I've got a mate in London who's a Millwall fan. He's staying with me the night.
Just let you know, Mick, Amazon's doing the price deal on the Bulletproof Vest at the moment. You'll be all right, son. I'll put you through to a good one.
All right, gents, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, mate.
Hopefully see you next week, yeah?
Yeah, hopefully see you next week. Don't work too hard, buddy.
Yeah,
see you later.
Bye-bye.
And Jeff, unfortunately, I've got to go as well because I've got an early start tomorrow. It's going to be interesting.
No worries, Tony. Thanks for joining us. And if I can catch up with you Thursday, I will. And hopefully, if not, next week.
Yeah, definitely. And everyone in the chat, thanks for being with us and that. And obviously, don't forget, give Jeff, Budgie a like, share, and subscribe to their channels as well, please.
And you,
Really
of course,
appreciate it.
and that man
And-
down there.
And that man's channel as well. Thanks, Tony. Thanks for the plug.
You're welcome. Take it easy, everyone.
This
Ta-da,
time.
then.
All right.
Ta-da, mate.
See you later, mate. Oh,
And then there were two.
yeah. Well, we're just about down to the end of the comments. We've been on a little while. Unless there's anything you particularly want to talk about we haven't covered, Budge.
No, not
Might
really.
need to stay for a while unless you need to. If you need to get off,
No,
that's cool. But if you want to chat
mate,
about something, I'm fine with it.
Just want to fill my belly up again. That's all. No, I mean, there's nothing really nothing else really to cover. We've covered just about everything we can, except for the return of Aston Villa this weekend.
Oh, yeah. I suppose we ought to touch on that before we head off and what
We
everyone's
should really, mate.
thoughts are. And we sort of alluded to some of the selection problems that might be for Potter, especially in the back line. And that's going to be a real test for him. But hopefully Somerville might be available. So we might have a little bit more of an outlet if we get Kudus and Somerville up the pitch a little bit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it then, Budgie?
Well, if we can get Somerville back this weekend and we play him out on the left and we play Kudus out on the right, that leaves Wan-Bissaka on the right to do his job, the defensive side of his job. And likewise with Emerson over on the left, with them supporting in attack the aforementioned players in front of them. It's the player in the middle, or the two players in the middle, that really concern me. I suppose you would put Paqueta in the 10 position, but who are you going to put in the 9 position? And like we alluded to earlier, Danny Ings being the only fit striker, outright striker that we've got, isn't good enough. But as we mentioned, the first 70 or 65, 79, 80 minutes, whatever, he's not, well, I say he's not good enough. I mean, he's not fit enough. His age is not allowing him to be on fire. And I think
If we look at the opposition, Danny Ings,
I think he's more driven when he comes on as a substitute in the last 30 minutes.
If we look at what his opposition's going to be, it's likely to be Concert and Mings, isn't it?
Quite possibly, yeah.
I don't see Danny Ings getting much change out of them, do you?
Not really, no. And this is why we've got a bit of a dilemma up top. And although he's probably the soundest, like floating midfielder we've got at the moment, I think if we put Souček up in the 9 position, I think it would cause them so many problems.
Do you?
Because you know him, he'll do a Harry Kane. He'll come running back down into the midfield and so on and so. You'll find that Paqueta's probably the most forward player at times.
Yeah, I don't know if I like Souček in the 9. I don't know if he would really offer enough as a out-and-out striker.
Imagine if Somerville or Kudus put that whipping cross in, or even Emerson, Wan-Bissaka maybe, and Souček's already up there and he's on the end of it. Even if he can't get his head on it or whatever.
Put crosses in the box. If you can just say to Souček, stay between the width of the goal and hang around the penalty spot, we'll get the ball crossed into you. Yeah, he's got a chance of getting his head on it. But if we're going to try and play the ball up to him, get him to have some movement and do all of the things that we want like a striker to do, I think it's a big ask, right?
Maybe
we're asking too much of
right.
So he's not that technically good and one thing or another. And
then the only other option is Kudus going up there. And who fills Kudus's slot on the right?
I mean, I don't know. What's your back line? Have you got a back four or
Well,
back
I
three?
think the back line would probably be something like Kilman. Mavropanos is banned, isn't he? So it'd be Kilman, Wan-Bissaka, probably Creswell and Emerson, I would think. Kilman and
flat back
Creswell
four.
being flat back four.
Okay.
That will probably be that. And then you would have Alvarez as the holding midfielder with Soucek and Paqueta in front of him. And then a front three of Somerville, Caduce, and who would you put on the other side?
So you wouldn't play Soler through the middle?
Oh, I forgot about Soler, actually. I did forget about Soler. So, yeah, Soler, maybe Paqueta on the left, Somerville on the right.
Yeah.
Caduce up front. I'd play 4-3-3. I think that would be the strongest formation for this game.
I think he should probably play 4-5-1 or something like that, right? And string a flat back four across, like you've said. Play some kind of five across the middle, and whoever he's going to use up front. But you'll get Alvarez, Soucek, Soler, Paqueta all in that team, then, won't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
He's not got lots of options, has he? He seems really reluctant to use Guilherme, right? Which we were sort of talking about earlier. So we might include Guilherme in our teams, for example. But if we're trying to second guess Potter a little bit, I think it's unlikely that he will. But who knows? He might surprise us. I mean, you haven't put Skulls in your starting 11, have you?
No.
I don't disagree with you personally. I know lots of people clamoring for him to
the
start.
best option to put next to Kilman, bearing in mind Tadebo's out, Mavropanos is out, I think the next best option has got to be Creswell. He knows what it means to defend.
I like Skulls, and I like the way he's being used at the minute, actually, at the moment. Coming on, he's getting good amounts of minutes, and he's getting good experience. It's good for his development. And I'd like to see him start some games as well.
Maybe,
but I'm not sure if I want to see him start on Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I think against Villa, if we're 65 minutes in and reasonably comfortable in the game, like that, I mean, 0-0, 1-1, maybe 1-0 up even, then maybe, swap out Creswell for Skulls and give him Skulls the outside left position and bring Emerson into the centre with Kilman.
The other thing he can do, he can risk Casey. I don't know if he will. He's sort of like
but
tough,
Potter's got a hard task on his hands for Saturday.
He has.
I mean, we've already lost to them under Potter already, and I don't think he's going to make the same mistakes he did last time against them. Let's put it that way.
So I just get to a couple of comments. Asa says Villa was awful tonight against Monaco. I saw some of it about the last 20, 25 minutes or so. What I was surprised, I think they created a few chances and they gave up a few chances as well to Monaco, but they turned the ball over much easier than I thought they would. Their passing was pretty loose at times tonight, so I hope there's a bit more of that on Saturday. Ian says, I think we need a positive performance, even if we lose the game. Need to keep the good feeling going, particularly with the Palace, after the Palace performance. I agree with that totally, actually. I don't particularly fancy us to get a result. On Saturday, I hope I'm wrong. Are we playing Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. I'll just say
This
at the
weekend.
weekend. It's
This
safer.
weekend. Yeah. So I've not great optimism for our game,
No.
but I do agree that the performance.
Against Palace, how many shots did we have on target?
None.
How many shots did we have off target?
I don't know, 5
About
or so,
7 or 8, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Ridiculous number. If we play against Villa and lose 2-0 this weekend, and we get a couple of decent saves out of the keeper, maybe hit the woodwork, but still lose 2-0, I'd be a lot happier with that performance than I would be against Palace this weekend just gone. I think we need to be more clinical when we're on the ball. And we need to get on the ball a bit more.
Colin says he'd play Guilherme with Kudus up front, pace and skill, and he'd play 4-4-2.
It sounds good, Colin, and I would love to see it. But in this modern game, 4-4-2 doesn't look like we would imagine it to.
I don't mind 4-4-2. Certain games, certain personnel.
I think it would do well.
Leslie says, great show. It takes away from the shit in real life. Thanks, Jeff, and good night, Budgie and all. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks,
and I'm glad you enjoy the content, mate. Colin says, play Paqueta left midfield, Somerville right midfield, Kudus and Guilherme up front, Alves and Souček at centre back. So he'd actually drop Kilman out of the team by the sound of that. And Terence says, Budgie, you're right about Cresswell at the back. I like the 3 up front. What have we got on the bench if it goes tits up? Very little.
Yeah.
I would suggest.
Yeah. I mean, the 4-3-3 that I suggested is really easily changed, isn't it? I mean, it can easily be made into a 5-3-2 or whatever, 4-2-3-1, whatever the case may be. It's very easily changed, and also 4-4-2 is as well, by the way. And 4-4-2 would also be another decent formation to play against Villa with the offset 2 up front. That would be really good, I think, against Villa. It would cover a lot of the bases where we lacked in the last game against them.
Yeah, trouble is our midfield, isn't it? So fucking slow. So
but I think even though he's not particularly, a sprinter or anything like that, I think Carlos Soler can get around the pitch quite reasonably nimbly. I think he's been showing like that he's a very useful midfielder, and I'd like to see a lot more of him, I must admit. And I just think that him and Paqueta working together is kind of, double cream in your coffee for me.
Colin says either Alvarez or Souček alongside Kilman. All right then, Budge. Well, just to wrap up then, shall we put some predictions in? If you got a mind how you think this game's going to pan out?
Mate, listen, I'm expecting a bit of a sore ass after this game, if I'm honest. But I'm going to go with 3-1 to Villa. Sorry, but that's how I see it.
No, I think you're probably right. I think it might be 2-0 to Villa. I think they're going to beat us. I think they're going to beat us for the 3rd time. Hate being negative about West Ham or West Ham results, and I just think, all things considered, it's really, really tough for Potter at the moment. And They're,
I mean,
they're,
I'd love to
they're
see
a tough
him.
place to go and get a
Yeah.
result.
Yeah, I'd love to see him prove us wrong, you know. But and you know, to be fair, when we went to Villa Park on his first game, that cup game, we turned in a decent performance. It weren't
No,
a
we
bad.
did for sure.
More of the same, please, and perhaps just a tad more effort from the attacking players. And who knows what is achievable, you know?
We'll see. Somerville will be key if he's available, I think, to our chances of getting out. Otherwise, just the focus falls on Kudus once again, and then they just know to kind of stifle him, and then that's our threat taken away, right? So
Yeah.
we need more outlets than just Kudus, and then Kudus might have a bit of an opportunity to shine as well, rather than just having all the attention on him.
Yeah.
He's got nowhere to go, no one to give it to. What can he really do? And where can anyone else go? Just look for Kudus. Oh, he's marked out the game. You know, we've got no one who can really carry the ball.
Yeah.
Get someone
So
like a Somerville.
just a quick question then, Jeff.
Yeah.
Just a quick yes or no answer will do, unless you want to quantify it.
Okay.
Bowen and Somerville, next 3 to 5 years for wide attacking players for West Ham. The future
Yeah,
5
quite
years,
possibly.
next 5
Well,
years,
how old's Bowen now? Is he 27, 28, isn't he?
27. Yeah,
So we'll say 3
bearing in mind,
years, and I'll say yeah.
yeah. I mean,
5
I can
years.
see,
I don't know. That's a long time.
Bowen because like he's committed his next 5 years or something, isn't it, to West Ham?
Bowen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's probably done about 6 months of that now.
7-year contract he signed, didn't he?
Oh, was it 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Didn't he sign that when Moyes was still here?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Because all the
And to be
speculation
fair,
about did he want to stay
you
or
know,
not?
I mean, I can see like the next 3 years it being him and Somerville being our wide threats. You know, AN other in the middle, Kudus or AN other.
Kudus will be gone, won't he? He's not here for the
Yeah.
next 5 years.
But you know, if we can get that stability out on that left and right hand side with Bowen and Somerville, I think the rest in the middle will kind of take care of itself.
Right. Anyway, Budge, I'm going to head off. We've been nearly an hour and 40 minutes.
No
Thanks
problem,
for joining me. Hope you can join me again
Absolutely.
next week. I'll just say thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us. And
thanks to
hopefully
everyone in
we'll
the
see you guys all next week. And with that, come on, you irons.
Get in.